Once Human is getting a massive new 2.0 update. I'm going to go over several corrections with my last video and what this new update actually does entail. We'll also look at some additional speculations with it. Additionally, we'll look at some new rewards that you'll be able to claim. We got some new stealth changes, as well as some last minute tips to help you through your playthroughs. We got a ton to talk about. What's up world, should be here back with another video. Today we're checking out all things Once Human. So first up here, we are getting that major news and major upgrade announcement. This is for the annual update. Yes, Once Human is about to hit its first year anniversary. I thought this was going to be labeled with version 1.7, as they've had version 1.6, 1.6.2, 1.6.3, etc. But they are just jumping straight to 2.0. So they did announce this on their Twitter page. We had a few teasers back and forth, and they finally showcased us some imagery here for 2.0, where it mentions that a major update is coming soon. It has exciting new features and gameplay that are coming soon as well. On top of that, there's going to be tons of events and a trove of rewards. You can also technically pre-register for this update and upgrade. And yes, even if you are already playing the game, anyone can pre-register, and it includes a plethora of rewards here, with a retro hooded leather jacket that they've already obtained and an avatar 1 year. So again, if you do want both of those rewards, you should register for this. They also have two additional ones here, Butterfly Emissary Crates and Starcrom. Currently, they do have 107,000 signatures. In order to get the next two here, as you can see, they need 200,000 and then 500,000. I'll include a link to this, so if you do want to pre-register, you can do so. As I do believe, once this launches, you'll no longer be able to claim these rewards, especially that red leather jacket or even the avatar 1 year. If you are a collecting person, you're probably going to want to snag these. Now you might be asking, what is the major upgrade 2.0? What could we even see with that? We have a ton of speculation here, including console drops, what the new scenario could be, if there is going to be one. There's a ton of things here that we can go over and piece together each info, even pitching in some roadmaps and dev interviews. Now my personal speculation, again, I don't know anything, and even if I did, I couldn't tell you. These are what I think it's going to be, these two top ones. This first one here being the scenario code deviation. Now, if we coincide this one with the roadmap, we are supposed to be getting a new scenario sometime soon here. This is other than the two current ones, although that ended up being a spin-off scenario, or at least a spin-off mode called Raidzone, and then that new scenario, Endless Dream. This third one here, though, is code deviation. Now, they have shown this one off already, basically as a pet battler, or you'll be able to capture deviations, although you can already, and you could do that in a combat loop with them. You should be able to level those deviations, or at least combine those. We've seen some of that stuff being teased before and talked about. Now, as far as the Battle Pass goes, we did just get a Battle Pass reset. I'll go over that a bit in the shop update section. But we did just get a Battle Pass reset, so this kind of coincides with the new scenario. Although, again, we're not 100% for sure on that. And the rationale there is that dev roadmap, also exciting new feature, which again could be the pet battler. Now, maybe this is no longer going to be a scenario, but maybe they incorporate this into the scenarios already. I could see that being the case, and I think that's actually the best outcome for this. Instead of this being its own separate scenario, pet battler, I feel like they could just incorporate that into all of them, and maybe just have a pet battling section. Although overall it still could be kind of cool having its own scenario. Again, we'll have to wait and see on that one. This second one here, again, having a high likelihood. Of course, Once Human is hitting its first year anniversary, and we'll probably see an anniversary event rollout, limited time quest and cosmetics, daily login streaks as we've seen before, and maybe even some double drop weekends or things that kind of celebrate the launch there. The banner does showcase tons of events and gifts. This one's probably pretty much set into fruition, and more than likely will be the case, with some limited time quests and those cosmetics. Now next up here, we have been seeing this already with Way of Winter testing, but we could see some rebalancing and some quality of life changes for both Prism Clash and Way of Winter. I really hope Prism vs. Clash does get a ton of reworks there, although that is me kind of putting that one out there. I really think that that's not going to happen. We might see the full release of the Way of Winter changes. Hopefully that's aside of just some of the quality of life changes and tweaks to the winter biome, although this probably is the case. And then again, we may see some additional changes to Prism vs. Clash, maybe some faction war balance, etc. Although I overdoubt that one to be the case. Although they do mention this one right after the code deviation scenario in the roadmap, so that does kind of align with it overall. And then last but kind of least here, we could see a full Sanity and Mimetic specialization overhaul, new Mimetics, or a retuned Sanity Drain and Whim effects. Although we've pretty much already seen them go over this. Again, these are just speculations overall of what it could be. Last up here, and this is the least likelihood of all, that is the console port announcement. They've had some long-term ambitions here with trying to get it basically on every single platform. I'll go into a little bit of what's going on there. So we do have some details here when we could see a console port, what's going on there, any updates. Realistically, the last update we've had for the console port is they said it is their next milestone after the mobile launch. This was in an interview with The Gamer, where again, yeah, they said the developer of a console version is part of their plans. At that time, it was around November 2024. They mentioned that the team was working on the game's mobile version, after which they complete the development of that, the release of mobile version. The next important milestone will be their console version. However, there's a few notable things with that. First off, there hasn't been basically any ratings of anything. If we check the ESRB, PEGI, or USK public databases, which was updated last month, there is currently 0 listings for Once Human. Games usually surface here either a few weeks, months before the console release, at least if there was plans to shadow drop. This isn't always the case, but we don't have any backend information, or at least no known databases have any updates there for Once Human. Going over everything of what this actually means, despite there being no ESRB, PEGI, or GRAC filings, and nothing with the storefront, data mining, etc., we still could see some type of announcement for it, where we actually had this example with Pal World and the Rising console reveals. They did actually file their ratings later. However, again, since no rating exists right now, a same-day console drop is basically virtually impossible. We still could see announcements or even beta signups at the July event, or at least the 2.0 version announcement, although more than likely the earliest time we could see PlayStation Xbox release would be in Q4 of 2025. So I know a lot of people have been waiting for the console release version. It's probably going to be a while longer until we see that. Hopefully we get some new information on this version 2.0 very soon, but that does encapsulate everything and what the likelihood is for each. These are just my speculations though, this is not concrete evidence or anything like that, just going based off what we have so far. Moving on though, we did have those store updates. But first off, yes, we got the reveal of the Comeback Choose 1 of 3 Lightforge Blue Crates. Not one of these are ready, but we had the official reveals of these. Again, they were fairly easy to tell which ones they were. But we got the Hype Party, the Beach Bash, and the Hollows Masquerade back. Remember though, you can only choose 1 of 3, and upon selecting one, you are locked into that Lightforge Loot Crate for the entirety of the event. We also did get the brand new Battle Pass, which is being called the Final Gambit, and all the new reveals there for the set, the Secret Base Formula, the Nebula Dice Cradle Cosmetic, the Terminus Sword, and a few other additional cosmetics there. Some last minute mention rolls, we had some tips and stealth changes, where the first one here is that you can now finally place your turrets back on your vehicle again. So it does look like this was stealth changed back to actually having that ability, where before you could do it, but I think it got nerfed and taken away. Now you can actually place turrets back on your vehicle. Jumping over, as I said, we had some tips, and this pertains to actually Raidzone. So I've been deep diving and playing a little bit here. I know one of the posts last time where you should make sure you are locking your door, otherwise somebody can come right in and take all your stuff. There are a few additional ones here, like when you're building your base. Wood can be taken out by Molotov grenades, stone can be taken out by green or C4, and marble can be taken out by purple C4s. So do be wary on that. When you're building your base, make sure you're actually accounting for what can take those out. Which also mentions that double door airlocks have 2 doors per entry and will require double the explosives. So there are some additional base building tips there. One last one here, also vehicle windows are now destructible. So do be careful on that, they can now be destroyed. That happened with one of the recent patches, just in case you weren't aware. Overall, that should about cover for today's video. And if you enjoyed it, like, subscribe, and until the next one. Deuce!